Hey crafters, thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to make a fun Easter card with a chocolate bunny. Hope you enjoy! So I started by die cutting the pieces for the springtime bunny from Lawn Fawn, and I used my pokey tool to separate the pieces. Now I wanted to make this bunny look like it's chocolate, so I used my Copic markers to color it. Starting with my darkest color, this is E37, I went around the edges of the two main pieces. And then I went in with my lighter color, this is E33, and I blended in the darker color and colored in the rest of the shape. Now once I was happy with the effect of this color, I went back again with my E37 and then outlined the shapes again. And then I went back in with my E33 one last time and blended out that harsh line. And I just went over the entire shape to make sure that it's nicely blended. Now on all the other pieces, I just used the E37 to give this a nice dark outline. And I went over these pieces a few times so that they were nice and dark brown. And I used a nice light yellow for the eyes and pink for the bunny's nose as well. So once all the pieces had been colored in, I adhered them all to the bunny base using some white glue, some PVA glue. And I find it a lot easier to use glue for this sort of project because you can wiggle the pieces around until they fit in nicely. Now to make this look more like a chocolate bunny, I used yellow eyes and a pink mouth and nose. And I used a lighter pink as the base piece and then a darker pink for the nose piece. And then once these were all adhered properly, I just put a block on this until it was set. Now meanwhile, I die cut the fruit basket die from Lawn Fawn with some glitter card. And this is the Tropical Tide paper from Tonic Studios, and it's a beautiful sparkly blue. And I also used it to die cut the word Easter from Henry's ABCs. I also used these dies to die cut the word blessings, just with some white paper, which you'll see later on in this video. Now to make this bunny look a little bit more like a chocolate bunny, I'm just using my white gel roll pen and adding some details around the outside of the bunny. And I just put this onto the outline area. And I think that just adds a little bit of whimsy to this and makes it look a little bit more like a focal point on the card. Now once I'm happy with that, I will set this aside to dry as it takes a few moments for that gel pen to set. Now for my Easter eggs, I used 4 different colors of Distress Oxide. So I started with some Saltwater Taffy, some old paper, some Dusty Concord, and some Blueprint Sketch. And I just smeared these onto the non-stick area of my glass mat and then spritzed them with a little bit of water. This is one of Tim Holtz's techniques, which is perfect for Easter eggs. So using a bit of glossy card, I'm going to push it into the Distress Oxide and then dry it with my heat tool. And I'm just going to repeat this a few different times. And I want to have some areas where there's splats and some areas where there's little pools of ink. So it creates that sort of marbled effect, which is perfect for Easter eggs. And the trick to doing this is to make sure that you dry between each layer and keep going until you're happy with the results. Now, as this is gloss paper, you need to set this after to ensure that it doesn't rub off. So I'm going to keep going until I'm happy with the results. And you can see the finished card here. And to make sure this is set and permanent, I'm going to use a little bit of Distress Glaze and rub this over the whole glossy paper. I'm just using paper towel for this. And then I'm going to use another piece of the same paper towel and rub off the excess distress glaze. And as you can see, the colors come to life. And now you can see the final effect. And I'll use this to die cut the Easter eggs from the Springtime Bunny set. I'll also die cut some paper with Saltwater Taffy and Dusty Concord on it. So you can see that I have the outlines with those two Distress Oxide colors below the eggs. Now I'm going to glue those areas onto the Easter eggs and assemble them. And I love how the marbled pieces just make these Easter eggs come to life. Now once they're all glued down, I'll just put a heavy acrylic block on them to make sure that they're set. And I'll continue assembling the rest of the Easter eggs. So in total I have 6, 3 pink and 3 purple ones. And I'll just show you the finished Easter eggs here. They're just gorgeous with that marbled effect on them. So also for this Easter card, I used a bit of Lawn Fawn paper. This is from the Perfectly Plaid remix, and I cut it to 2 inches by 5.5 inches. And put this on my 5.5 inch square card. And then I added my fruit basket so that there's enough room at the bottom to add one of those letters. And I just wanted these Easter eggs to be in the basket, so I positioned them first before gluing down the basket. And I want the little chocolate bunny to be balancing on these Easter eggs. So I'm going to glue him in, making sure that he is in front of the back of the basket so that it looks a bit three-dimensional there. And I'll also have the eggs at the top in front of the basket as well. Now I want one of the eggs to be outside of the basket just so that the recipient can fully see the marbled effect on those Easter eggs. And I'm also going to have the sentiment on the top and the bottom of the card. So at the top, I want to have the word Easter. So make sure that the bunny is positioned so that there's enough room to add the words Easter above him. So just to make sure the word Easter is properly centered on my card, I added the S and the T above the bunny first. And then I added the last 2 letters at the end and the first 2 letters at the beginning. Then I added the extra Easter egg on the side of the basket there and added the other sentiment at the bottom of the card. So I die cut the word blessings from the same Henry's ABCs, and I just used some white paper for this. And because this is quite a long sentiment, I just placed it underneath to make sure it would fit first and then glued it into place. Now when I'm gluing down the letters, I just push it lightly until I'm happy with the placement, and then I push it harder at the end. Now once I'm happy with this sentiment and it's all glued in place, I'm going to add a little bit of a blue frame to this card. So using the same glitter card, the Tropical Tide paper, I cut a mat that is 5 3/4 square, which is the finished size of this card. And because this is glitter card, I needed to use glue to adhere this because double-sided tape wouldn't adhere properly to this glitter card. And then I made sure to push really hard to make sure it was secured. And I even turned this upside down and pushed it from the back. And then using a bit of that leftover blue, I die cut the bow from the platform pop-up set from Lawn Fawn, and I glued that together. And I thought this would be a great addition for this Easter card. And I was going to add it to the bunny, but I didn't want to cover up all that coloring that I did. So I decided to adhere it to the basket instead. And once again, I would recommend using glue if you're using glitter card, because double-sided tape won't adhere quite as well. So I'm just going to push this in place once I'm happy with the placement and make sure it's nice and secure before moving on to the next step. And you can see that gorgeous Easter card. So I'm going to adhere the whole thing to a 5 3/4 inch top folding card blank. And I'm going to make a few more of these for my Easter card this year because I just love the finished product. I decided to leave the inside of the card blank, but you could always add an Easter message in there if you prefer. And you can see the finished card here with that gorgeous chocolate bunny. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found this video inspiring. If you haven't already, please subscribe so that you're notified whenever I post a new video. Have a crafty day!